What I'll do and um, what I'll do is I'll start with a quick announcement. So I know I talked, mainly it was just me talking about doing this for Women's History Month as well, but actually we're in the throes of strategic planning, and Susan has been doing yeoman's work with her team, gathering information from the surveys and the community conversations. And so we need to do some work around strategic planning in March. And what we're going to do is just invite staff. We'll hit the 9:30 and the 10:30 spots. We'll be soliciting your input on different things, including vision, value, mission, but then also the strategic framework. So what I would say is look for emails about this. It'll go up with short notice because we're all in the throes of this last minute portion of it, but you're all invited. And like we did with our last strategic plan, the staff input was absolutely invaluable. So that's just a quick announcement. What I thought I would do today is talk about Carter G. Woodson. He is basically the founder of Black History Month, starting with Black History Week. And because I am the last minute sub, I don't have a lot of really great prose and poetry around this. I do have two really great films, but what I would say is, he's so admirable. And one of the things, as we learn about these various different people throughout this month, is I go back to an article that Connie made me read called Unpacking My Bag, or something along that point. And just the intentionality of his life and how determined he was. And he started basically off working in a coal mine so he can earn enough money to go to school. But I'm not going to talk. There's other people who say it much better than me. It's just he has turned into one of my heroes. So with that, I am going to share, and hopefully I got the right one. Hold on. I think that's me. Is that the right one? Yes. All right, here we go.
Woodson is popularly known as the father of Black history.
Adrienne Cannon knows all about Carter G. Woodson. She's the Afro-American History and Culture Specialist for the Manuscript Division of the Library of Congress. The library is the keeper of 18,000 items from Woodson's collection of papers that he started donating back in 1929. Everything from a letter from Paul Laurence Dunbar High School here in Baltimore to a manuscript of a poem by Dunbar, slave bills of sale, and slave freedom papers.
The collecting, research, writing, and publishing he did on the Black past in the early 20th century laid the foundation for the study of African American history as a legitimate field of inquiry.
Carter G. Woodson was born in 1875 in New Canton, Virginia, to former slaves.
I think that that connection to slavery was the impetus for his interest in recording the Black past.
Woodson worked in the coal mines of West Virginia as a young man, but went on to earn his bachelor's and master's degrees, eventually going to Harvard on an American history scholarship.
He was the only African American born to former slave parents to receive a PhD in history. And he was the second African American to receive a PhD in history from Harvard. The first was W.E.B. Du Bois.
Woodson also served as a teacher, a principal, and a publisher. He wrote The Negro in Our History. He started the publication Journal of Negro History in 1916. And to help teachers with African American studies, he created the Negro History Bulletin. The historian and writer of more than a dozen books lobbied schools and organizations to take part in a special program to encourage the study of Black history.
It was celebrated first as Negro History Week, and it was celebrated the second week in February to encompass the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass.
He chose that week in order to reach Blacks and whites because he believed recording and disseminating Black history could advance race relations.
As he indicated in his textbook, The Negro in Our History, was to celebrate not Negro history, but the Negro in all history, in our history.
Lisa Robinson, WBAL TV 11 News.
You're muted, Alice.
That wasn't supposed to happen. Were you able to see that film? Nobody saw it?
Heard it.
Right.
Yes.
We
We
heard
heard
it.
it.
See it?
Right, we heard it.
Oh, geez. Well, you were supposed to see it. Mason, what am I doing wrong?
I'm coming over.
I saw it.
You saw it?
I did.
I saw it too.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I saw the screen, but nothing was moving. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
All right.
Well,
Let
while
me-
she's walking over, I think, Alice, your selection was very appropriate in light of the fact that he's the founder and the creator of what we're celebrating this month. So that was a really good choice for us.
You were not sharing this one, so we saw the other.
I shared the wrong screen. That's what happened. So I want to share this one.
Okay.
All right.
Share that.
Yep, Connie, thank you. I just, before I start this one, I just wanted to say what James Baldwin said, because that's what I was supposed to do when in my mind, that was my organization. But in 1964, when the author James Baldwin reflected on the shortcomings of his education, he said, when I was going to school, I began to be bugged by the teaching of American history because it seemed that the history had been taught without cognizance of my presence. And with that, I want to show you this one, and hopefully it will go smoothly. And I'm keeping my chat open, so if it doesn't, just let me know.
Think of the worst things people can say about your culture, about your race, about your religion, about your people. Are they true? Could it be that you're not as smart, or you're money hungry, or you're a drunk, or you're cold and calculating? Of course not. You're an individual. Chances are your culture has made contributions in a masterful way to cultures throughout the world. But the more the bigots say it, the more it seems true. The more these stereotypes are hoisted upon the cultural landscape, the more people look at blacks and Jews, Muslims, Catholics, Native Americans, Asians, and Hispanics with wary eyes, wondering if the demonizing insults are true. How in the world can you believe in yourself if those around you believe you're a lesser life form? Dr. Carter G. Woodson had an answer for that. That answer is knowledge.
What, you may ask, is so important about studying history? The answer is as simple as it is important. If you knew your culture's history was directly linked to great writers, powerful leaders, successful business people, and pioneers, wouldn't that make you proud? Wouldn't that inspire you to do great things yourself? Those who endeavor to understand their own history are paving a path toward a bright future. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history, knew that knowledge of the African American experience would be the last way to destroy the chains of slavery. And so he made it his life's passion. In early 20th century America, it was popularly accepted that blacks in Africa had contributed nothing to world civilization, that slavery actually benefited those Africans who had the good fortune to be caught up in the slave trades.
It was damaging African Americans because they too were being exposed to these ideas and accepted them as truth, and it had a damaging effect on their self-esteem and their belief in themselves to be able to go on and educate and contribute to the world.
Those kinds of distortions not only permeated the world of white Americans, but sunk deeply into the souls of African Americans. If one was to believe these lies about his own people, then how could he achieve the confidence to break the mold? In 19 books and dozens of published articles, Carter G. Woodson worked to erase that false history and began to help all Americans of all cultures to understand the true history of the African people's experience in America and across the world.
When you think of Black people as inferior, it would only make sense, this argument that they had done nothing to contribute to the world. So he's going to point out all of those fallacies and really try to give the Black community a rallying point around which to push their efforts, that we really needed to do something to make people aware, not just Black people, but white people, about all of the contributions that people of African descent, both on the continent of Africa and also in this country, have made to the world and to the United States of America.
He believed that hard facts, through research and fair-mindedness, would bring balance to history, and that his thesis was that all peoples in the world had made a contribution to civilization. And once that people on a mass scale understood this, there would be greater respect for all races, all ethnic groups, all religions.
Before Carter Woodson began publishing his own writings and those of contemporary historians, there were few media outlets that would shed light on the full story of African and African American achievements in the United States. He made sure Americans heard a different side of the story. In 1926, Woodson founded Negro History Week, which later evolved into Black History Month. To this day, the occasion continues to remind all Americans of the great accomplishments of writers, entrepreneurs, civil rights leaders, artists, and educators who helped create modern America. Woodson also founded what is now called the Study of African American Life and History, founded in 1915. This is the agency that decides on the theme for Black History Month each year. This legacy is still helping to inspire new generations of young people with true stories of outstanding achievements by Americans of African descent.
No person can imagine where he's going unless he knows where he's been.
The more I learn as I've continued to educate myself and to study about people like James Lafayette, like Anthony Johnson, like Maggie Walker, it's an absolute inspiration to me, because not only did they look like me, but because here you have an individual with enough character, enough strength, enough skill, that living in some very difficult times, they were able to use what they had, no excuses, no pity parties, but use what they had to advance their cause and take not only themselves, but other people to another level.
Across our country today, African Americans have overcome terrible lies and stereotypes to achieve great success. Carter Woodson inspired each of these people to understand the success that has been achieved by pioneers of their culture and the contributions they have made and are now making to our nation.
So there's a lot of material on him, and there's several videos. I tried to choose a couple, of course, the first one has the connection to the Library of Congress, so that's always a good thing. But I tried to choose some that would give you highlights of his life. So I'll also put this on the blog that we have going.
Okay.
Very
Alice,
good.
Just a quick question. He mentioned the film, this last clip mentioned establishes the theme for Black History Month every year.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what this year's theme is?
Hold on.
It's Black Health and Wellness Matters.
Mm-hmm. That's why we have a
Okay.
theme for the art in the library, at the main library.
Got it.
wellness and mental health, yes.
And-
And every year we try to stick with the theme, as much as possible.
And there was a piece on NPR this morning about African Americans and health, and the mortality rate for pregnant women or children born is like 2 to 1. So it's a major concern. And Elizabeth and I don't think anybody else was there, went to a recent workshop put out by Groundwater. No, the Racial Equity Institute, right, Elizabeth? And when you start looking at the statistics around health and wellness, it's just overwhelming, just absolutely overwhelming. And part of it, you go back to Cheryl's presentation on the Jim Crow Museum, is that some of the myths, that Blacks can withstand more pain, or sort of superhuman athletes play into that. Well, thank you. Been a great audience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks, Alice.
Thank you.
Melanie, who's tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Ellen Sullivan at 10:30.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.